Hi everyone, very good evening, guys. And it's my extreme honor and pleasure to be sharing the screen with Dr. Akhil, who's got an amazing rank of 60 in this November INI-CET 2022. So, there was a short, brief interaction that I could have with Dr. Akhil prior to this interview. And I think his journey is something that all of you should really hear out because the kind of obstacles that he's faced and he's reached this particular place, it's something which will give you a lot of learning lessons and a lot of do's and don'ts, which I'm sure Dr. Akhil wants to share with us. So, Dr. Akhil, over to you. We'll start with your introduction first because I guess the students would definitely want to know what is your background, where have you done your MBBS from, and how have you got this amazing rank of 60th?
Yeah, ma'am. First of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience and my journey with everyone. So basically, I am from a private college from Shimoga, Subaya Medical College, and actually I am from 2013 batch, ma'am. And eventually, when I got into MBBS, I fell into the trap of depression. So 2 years straight away, I used to not go to exam hall itself. So like I used to just live it and all that. And then somehow I took help and then I somehow picked it up and finished my MBBS with 2015 batch people. And then the internship happened, which was like the COVID era. So it's like, again, more of confusion and everything, all that.
Yes.
And immediately in 2021, I finished my internship, ma'am. And immediately after my internship, September exam happened, like the first NEET. And that time my rank was 68,513.
Okay.
So, and like everyone, like at that point of time, like when you are in that 68,000 and all, you tend to lose your hope and all that.
Right.
But then I took it as a challenge, ma'am. Like, okay, fine. If somebody out there can get rank 1, why can't I? And that day itself, I wrote it on my wall, ma'am, 68,513. And like below, I wrote Air 1. So I have not got Air 1, but still, like that aim was there. Because I always believed that when you can believe in yourself, you can always achieve things. Because we always underestimate our capacity and our capabilities to do things. Like we always tell ourselves, hum kya karte hain, ma'am? We tend to keep our goals itna hi. Like I can only do this much.
We don't stretch.
So we have just given up on ourselves initially only. So even if God puts rank 1 in your hand, you'll be saying, nahi, aim mera nahi hai. I don't deserve it. Because you yourself have to believe first that you can get rank 1.
Right.
Only then, you can at least achieve that, ma'am. So I started thinking positively and now I had to plan. I had to strategize and I had to do a lot of things. And eventually after September, November, INI-CET happened. So in that time period, I somehow, completed few subjects and then I gave the exam, an honest attempt and I got 4,011, ma'am, that time in a span of 2.5, 3 months of preparation. And then I got a hope. Okay, now I have come somewhere like near. So now I can do better. And that's when, that was the time period when actually I started watching like videos and then like I came across you, Zainab ma'am, and PrepLadder, all the faculty. And I used to just watch, ma'am. Like, what happens is like we have Netflix, and Amazon Prime and everything, all the different sort of apps. Sometimes we watch that, sometimes we watch this. So what I did was I just, instead of those things, I started watching these things. So, and eventually, I started picking up, my concept started becoming clear and everything. And in that process, I had a lot of ups and downs, ma'am, because I had left my hometown. I had come to Bangalore to prepare for my exams and all that. And I had told my family people, I won't return home till I achieve what I want to achieve. And till date, I have not returned home, ma'am. 1.5 years it has been, I have not returned home. And I was staying in a single room, managed everything by myself. And somehow, like May INI-CET happened and May NEET happened. But I was like so much preparing for INI-CET. What happened was like I was thoroughly prepared, ma'am. But in exam hall, I failed in time management. Okay. I left 27 solid questions without attempting, without even seeing. But I was sure that whatever I attempted, I would get like sufficient number correct. So I had a feeling that I will get a rank, but I won't get a seat. So that exam happened, and before our NEET exam, like this result was supposed to come. And what I did was, like I left NEET, mom. I didn't study for those 12 days. I'm like, I don't want it.
Right.
Then, like, in fact, I fought with my dad. Like, I don't want to write. I want to give aims only. Like, that's what my dream is, and all that. And like, no, like my dad fought with me. He stopped speaking to me. And then that time, the result came. It was 696, mom. Like INI-CET ka result. And then like it came before NEET exam. So then I just went to NEET exam, and then like whatever I have prepared, I'll just give it. Like, it's okay, I have not revised, I have not touched the books, nothing, I'll just go. So NEET happened, and then I got a rank of 918, ma'am. So that happened, and after this, my dream was still aims. But now that I have got a rank, like every person in this world that I know of, they are like, kuch to le le. Because all my actual batchmates, they were already in their residency and everything. So, like, and even my family members, my dad just wanted me to settle. But then I told them, no, I'm not going to do. You want me to take a seat? Fine, I'll take some seat. But I want to give one last attempt of INI-CET. Right. Because I just don't want to feel, and I don't want to have the regret after maybe 20 years or 10 years or whatsoever.
You have given it. Right.
Ma'am. Like, I just want to have that key. Yes, I just gave that 100%, and then whatever happened, then and in between all this counseling was happening, everything was happening, and it was like horrible. Nobody is trying to push me towards exam, ma'am, except for like Zainab ma'am. Like, she supported me a lot. Like ma'am helped me a lot. Like, she was telling, Akhil, अब already rank hai tera paas. Like, you have something is safe now, you have a free mind. Yes. So you will automatically do better in this exam. But one thing, it was like I was scared, ma'am, in the same time ki exam to hai. Like, if I lose this chance, then I will never be able to write this exam again, because it's like there are so many pressures from all the directions. Then everything happened, and apparently just 15 days before, actually it happened much before, my mom was diagnosed with huge fibroids, 20 weeks, and she had dysmenorrhea, and like I'm the only son, and I'm very sensitive about my mom and dad. She tried to withhold that thing from me for quite some time, but just before 15 days she was not able to tolerate it. And like in our family, like I'm the only one like who has become a doctor as such. So she ended up telling me, and like exams are just 15 days, and like I'm very sensitive. Then again, like I was not able to study this November INI-CET. Last 15 days were horrible. And at the same time, all this counseling was happening, and all the Supreme Court case. So basically, I don't have a seat. And at the same time, all this exam is happening, and I was not able to study. Then actually, one of my friends is there in AIMS Delhi, ma'am, Fawaz. So he insisted me one thing: don't do anything new. You have already put effort till now. Perfect, so just flip the pages of whatever you have studied. And apparently I had Zainab ma'am ka all this MER and this thing, and like your Kickstart mornings, all these specific topics and the things that you used to post in groups. So I had them with me, ma'am. And like this PrepLadder ka rapid revision and 3.0 and snapshot I had. So what I used to do, I just used to flip, ma'am. Just see last 2 or 3 days. Right. And I went with an open mind to the exam. Whatever baggage I had, I forgot ki I had 918. I forgot ki I am from 2013 batch. I just gave it like a fresher, man. Like, yes, this is the best shot that I'm gonna give, and I'll not have any baggage while giving that exam, and I would not repeat the mistake that I did in the previous exam. So like those 3 hours, man, like how much ever we prepare, one thing I realized that those 3 hours, what you are gonna do and how much you are gonna use your brain and eliminate options, and that is what matters, I feel, ma'am. Like you can read hundreds, thousands of pages together and know nothing, but it's not about how much knowledge we have, it's about what we can do with whatever knowledge we have, ma'am. So that something hit me very much, and in exam I started solving questions, and like all those elimination techniques, and like my time saving, ma'am. Like I used to see, like, since multiple choices are there in this exam, I used to see what is the common option. I used to not read that only, ma'am. So many questions, what is the use, ma'am? Anyway, it will be correct. So instead of wasting time on that, like see, like eliminate the common options and read whatever other thing is there. And whenever lengthy questions are there and an image is given, it's like they're giving you a bonus. They're already telling you an answer. And then see the options, you know, like already what they are trying to say.
The lengthier the question, the examiner has given you more information. In a way, he's leaked out more information.
Yeah, man. Like, in fact, I feel single liners are like difficult to answer. Like, you know, only then you can answer.
Correct.
But like huge clinical case scenario, you're like, you know what to do with it. Like, they would have given solid, like so many subjects this time. Like, they had given that sigmoid volvulus surgery image, and they had given coffee bean appearance as an image also, and they had written it also. Right. So like whenever huge questions are there, like you know the answer like straight away. So and
Akhil, there are so many interviews, and right after the exam, there are so many students that we get to interact with, especially after the result. Suddenly students who got good results or who've not done well. But I think with you, the way that you've put up your entire journey in front of us in such a transparent manner makes me realize, and makes the students also realize, that you've overcome so many obstacles. Starting from the very first, being that a lot of students write to me that, ma'am, I'm from a private medical college. So, can INI even be something that I can dare to dream about? That is exactly what they write to me, that, ma'am, NEET is probably something, like you said, we make our boundaries, right? We think that, okay, this is how much I can achieve. And then beyond this is probably not meant to me. So that was the first one. Second, I think what we never ever talk about is mental health during MBBS. I think this is a major thing that you've fought over, probably are still fighting over, but against all the odds, at the end of the day, you've emerged as a winner. And again, considering personal life issues and everything around you, I mean, what kept you on track, I mean, that's commendable. And secondly, I think it's what I can see, what must have kept you on track is your determination. I see a very determined person within you who is who knows ultimately where am I going to go, and if that takes me a year or two more, that's not the problem out here, as long as I know that this is where I want to go, and I'm only going to stop once I achieve that. So since INI-CET was your ultimate goal, NEET and counseling did not stop you over there. Obviously, it gave you a temporary satisfaction and a temporary settlement with a seat, of course. It did give you a good backup, but then you did keep working for your ultimate goal. There's one question that Dr. Akhil, students want to know, I think, which are the most frequently asked, which I'm sure you also must be asking when you were preparing. Yeah. On a regular day when you're studying, how did you plan your day? Number one. And next, how did you plan your full course followed by your revision? Because revision is something that most students, are unable to fit in. So how did your regular day look like, and how did your revision strategy, and what all sources did you use in that duration?
Ma'am, one thing I used to always keep in mind is only this time INI-CET was morning and evening session. So always exams are in the morning, no ma'am. So I made it a habit that I wake up early. Okay. So that like I used to sit for those 3 hours properly, because it's mandatory that we sit for those 3 hours and think properly. What happens is, like 1 hour, 1.5 hours, we can study, ma'am. After that, we tend to get fatigued. Correct. And like we feel like getting up, going or watching something or seeing something. So the rule is, try to sit for 3 hours somehow. Like if you, after 1 hour, after reading 1 hour, if you feel bored, just 5 minutes, take a break, close your eyes, recall what you read, and then start reading again. So that, and what happens is, ma'am, I have changed 25 plans, ma'am. This is true. I can show you like my plans written here, like all the, I didn't throw them away, because I wanted to know how many times I'm going to change. All are stuck on my wall on this side. So initially we all tend to make, unreachable goals, ma'am. Correct. Like we start to, like huge subjects like pathology and, medicine, we'll keep 3 days and we'll be like, we'll get done with it. And then what happens is, when we don't complete what we want to complete, no ma'am, that regret cycle starts. Like, I'm not able to complete only, how will I get a seat? Of course. The negativity. So that vicious cycle should never be there, ma'am. So right. Make practical goals. That is one thing. And what happened was, like, okay, now you are saying make practical goals, but utna time hi nahi hai. That much time is not there. And I'm pretty sure like whoever has studied surgery, trauma, or like anesthesia, they know triage. So like when you know ki this much time is there, so that time you have to narrow your things, ma'am. I'll only read this much, but whatever I'm gonna read in this stipulated time, I'm gonna read it very thoroughly. Like previous year topics get repeated. Previous like some of the like in INI-CET this time there are no much exact repeats, but topics were repeated, ma'am.
Repeated, yes.
So like you need to triage, and then you need to have that contingency plan, ma'am. Okay, this is the time duration, because you need to have deadlines, ma'am.
Right.
And what is more important is like people say I'll do 8 revisions, 10 revisions. It is not the number that matters, I feel, ma'am. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. If you can if you can give proper 2 to 3 quality revisions, no ma'am, that is more than sufficient, rather than just reading it like a newspaper for 8 times. So every step of your way you need to analyze ki where you are actually going wrong. Because like I realized ki some of my friends and even me, like we are good at theory, ma'am. Like if you ask me to write a 5 marks answer of some particular topic, like I can go on like writing something. But when it comes to question, it's about eliminating options. And like examiner is trying to give everything away. Like if he says a female patient, that means eliminate everything that is there in male. And if he's giving a age group, eliminate things which is not there in that age group. And by the time you are halfway through, you know the answer already. And like every time, like I think many of them get stuck between this was taught to me by Dr. Tamim sir, ma'am. Like so like if you have 4 options, like ultimately you end up with 2, ma'am. That is how it is like for everyone. And like an honest statement that is written by an examiner is the first statement. Because like examiner's mindset is they write the answer and then they make the questions. Correct. So the first statement, a 38-year-old male patient or something is there, that means that's the honest statement. Then he starts to confuse you. So if you know, like when you're confused, like those 2 options, see the first line and see the last line, what they are trying to ask. And like you have your answer like 99% of the time.
Very
so
correct. Most students have a problem between the last 2 options where they feel that we are stuck. And the answer to that is you never have to select the right answer. In that situation, you have to rule out the wrong answer. You have to eliminate. If you eliminate, you will always come down to that one final answer that the examiner is asking you for. So I think that's a perfect technique that you've applied. And no wonder that is the reason that you are here where you are. And also another thing that the students are obviously wanting to know is that, like you've told us that, a very good thing that students don't follow, that is sit for 3 hours at a stretch, because in the exam you will have to sit. Students tend to follow the Pomodoro technique, which is very famous nowadays, which is good. I'm not saying it's not good, but sitting for 20 minutes and taking a 10 minutes break will help you right now, but not in the paper. You're training your mind to just have an attention span of 20 minutes, which is not good. You have to train yourself to be equally alert throughout the 3 hours of the exam, and that is something you can only achieve if you've obviously practiced that during your preparation time. Having said that, obviously you've had a really long journey, starting from 68,500 and coming to a 60th rank. I mean, if you can just elaborate that. Obviously there must have been a lot of ups and downs. There must have been phases where like you said, you changed 25 different plans. There must have been days where you must have been wanting to totally give up on everything, or sometimes when your timetable was not met, or you must be having days where a week must be going and you must be feeling that the output was not as expected. How should one deal with those ups and downs that come along the way, because those are the hardest to fight through, I feel.
Ma'am, I would say, like, I'll give a very practical example, ma'am. Like, when a guy wants to propose a girl, so what does he do? Like, he initially goes and proposes her, and generally a girl rejects, ma'am. And what does he do? He goes again. He will try all the stunts possible to impress her and get the thing done, ma'am. And I think that is how it is, ma'am. If you fail in 24 strategies, why can't that 25th strategy get you your rank? And I think like these are cliches, ma'am. I don't want to repeat. Like Thomas Alva Edison and all that, like who discovered bulb. If he hadn't tried, those many times, that means he wouldn't have achieved. So you need to believe, ma'am, whatever you are doing, you need to have that faith that this is gonna work.
Yes.
And then what we tend to do is, ma'am, like today, like there are so many resources. We just get bogged down. like what to do, what not to do. Should I
Exactly. I
follow
was
this?
going to come down to next. You have an ocean. I mean, I somewhere sometimes consider myself very lucky that when I gave my NEET way back in 2012, the first time NEET PG was conducted, I practically did not have any book. There was no book of PYQs, there was no app, and I felt that it was so much more easier, right? I just had to study the standard textbooks. But with you guys, you have a million apps, you have so many things. How did you, fight that fear of missing out? I mean, I feel we were in that joy of missing out phase. You guys have are in that fear of missing out phase. So how did you manage to stick to only your resource and not get distracted by a million things that were happening around you?
Because initially I used to listen to everyone, ma'am,
Correct.
and it didn't work out for me. And then I started believing ki, okay, I will stick to whatever I am, planning. And like when four teachers tell you the same thing, that means that is the most important thing.
Right.
And then whatever extra they are gonna say is like nice to know things. So first thing that you need to know is whatever common is being told by everyone, just stick to that. So that one thing I cleared my mind with, mom. And then I realized I need to have just one notes, like not have multiple resources, and then like just in the end what to read, what not to read. And like reading the same things over and over again in four resources, it won't yield anything, ma'am, because it's like 19 subjects you need to be thorough with. And then people have now started making 20th notebook also. And then the mistake that people are doing is 20th notebook also they are making it like a new subject. So like that consolidation has to be done thoroughly, man. So what I started doing was I used to watch everybody's, but I used to watch it like a cinema, man. Like eventually, because I had my notes, and anything I found extra, or I found it yes, it is worth learning. I used to just write it in a single line or single word in my existing notes. I used to never try to make a new notes out of it. That is like that's the biggest mistake people do, ma'am. Like they attend T&D, there is a separate T&D notes, and they attend some like for example, they attend your regular class, they have a separate notes for that. And then they attend your kickstart mornings, again they have separate notes for that. So basically too many things they have, and in the end when your volume is big, you start to give up at that moment. Itna to kaisa revise karo, that we should never do, ma'am.
It's humanly not possible to go on revising the same subject. That is what we like. You are now on the thankfully on the other side. So now you do realize that how important it was, and that is what we also keep telling the students, that how important it is to have one source for one subject. I mean, if it's one subject, it's one notebook or one copy only. You're not supposed to have four different copies. And right, the 20th notebook or the small copy having only mentioned your volatile topics is good to have, but that doesn't mean that you sit down and start writing all the biochemistry cycles and all the microbiology culture media all over again and make another bulky 1,000-page notebook out of it. That smaller copy just means that you need to have a list of the topics that these are the things that I'm going to revise. But where am I going to revise it from? Obviously from my primary notes. And I think that is what I've gathered, is that is what you have followed. Another question that students are asking: what was your frequency of grand tests? That is something which is always worrisome. And how did you even analyze those grand tests later?
Ma'am, initially what happened was like my previous exams, I used to give very few grand tests. Okay. And that is why my time management in May INI-CET was like very bad. So after that, I didn't take a break, ma'am, after those exams. Like I just continued studying. But one thing I realized, I need to give more and more grand tests now because I need to manage the time. Correct. So like every week I used to give, ma'am. How I used to review is, like initially I used to see what and all I went wrong. And the question I used to ask myself is, why did I go wrong there? Like there must have been some reason. Like some of the topics you might not have completed, and like that you take a informed guess, and those things you should never bother, ma'am. Like the things that you have actually studied and then that you are going wrong, that means like the way you have understood the topic is wrong, like in not so right way. So that is the thing that I used to focus on. And the other things that I used to go right, I used to brush through things. The only thing I used to look at is like what was the question asked and what was the logic I used to get the answer. I used to just look at that. If it is right, I used to not read it much. If it was not right, then I used to see, okay, this is not the right thought process that I had.
Right.
And people, ma'am, I don't know. This is one thing I think everybody like tends to ask how much time we should give to review the GTs. Like I would say, don't give it more than how much you have spent to give the GT. Like if you have spent 3 hours, then just give 3 hours to review it. Because if you go on reviewing GTs, you'll miss out on the subjects that you need to revise on those particular days. And what I used to do, like 1 week time used to be there, no ma'am. Like instead of reviewing 200 questions at a stretch, like one day 30 to 40 questions.
Perfect.
Then relax, then read the daily schedule that I had. I used to just follow that. And then by the time I gave the next GT, this GT ka review used to be done, ma'am.
I think that's the best way of going ahead with it. And also, one very important take home message for all the students who are preparing now is that don't think that grant tests will be something that you'll give right towards the end of your preparation once you're done with all the 19 subjects. Grant test is something that starts from the first day. So, you might not be knowing anything about any subject to the time when you've only done half of your syllabus. That is irrespective. Grant test is not to assess where all or what are the subjects you've not done. Grant test, as Dr. Akhil is also saying, is to assess what all you've done and how much of that could you actually apply when it's come across to you as a mixed bag of questions. So yes, that is
The
yes.
best analogy that I can give here is, ma'am, like I think most of them would have watched Sultan movie. Initially, he comes and like before he actually goes for that, he just fights with those pilwans and then he gets defeated. And then he tells one dialogue, "Mera औकात देखना था." I wanted to know where I stand, and that is what GTs are, ma'am. You should know where you stand, and that is when you will know how much you have to work hard to get where you want to go.
Correct.
So that is how I feel like people have to take GTs, and not as something demotivating or something. Because if they do that, the actual exam will be real demotivating for them. Instead, it is better to get demotivated in the GTs and make up for the final exam.
Correct. Dr. Akhil, one last thing. Now that, if this exam is over and there are a lot of students who've not been able to do the best or will not be securing a seat, maybe they've improved, but obviously their final target is NEET March 5th. If you would have been in their place, what do you think would be an ideal strategy considering like you've also given your INI, they've also prepared for the same exam. Now for the next few months, what should they be focusing on? If you had to make a rough timetable, what would you help your juniors with?
Ma'am, first thing I would tell them is, dust off this baggage, ma'am. Like whatever has happened, like it's gone now. Even if you, spend one more year thinking about it, that thing won't change. That is the first thing people should keep in mind. You can't change the past. Now, they know that, like, tentatively, it will happen on March 5th. NEET is going to happen that time. So they know how many days are left. And I feel Jan and Feb has to be given for revision. And before that, they need to triage things first and try to finish things as early as possible by December. Give their one revision in the month of Jan and give the second revision in the month of Feb. And then last 5 days, I would always consider it like a buffer time, ma'am, because we tend to, the things that we read and plans, and there will be backlogs and
yes. And I always tell students, the day there are some days where no one studies, like the day your admit card is about to come, there's so much of panic and cry all around that everyone stops, and there will always be some kind of rumors going around about how the pattern is going to change. So we always need those kind of buffers. But I think that's a very genuine advice coming from someone who's been through that entire phase very recently, and that is finish off all your anything that's left, any topic that's left, any first reading or any kind of finishing of the entire syllabus should be done by 31st of December so that you can give two proper quality revisions in the month of Jan and Feb. I think that's an amazing advice. And now that
one last thing about when they enter the exam hall, no, ma'am.
Very important.
Like when they are inside the exam hall, see, nobody is like watching us or nobody is judging us. You should think you are the boss, ma'am. Like I am the one, I have finished everything. Like you should never carry that baggage ki, oh, I have not read this topic. Or else what will happen, like the question, like the examiner would have given the answer there only, ma'am. We will be like, oh, nahi, मैं surgery nahi padha tha. I didn't read this. So they will not attempt that question only. Right. You should think ki, I have finished everything. I am the big boss and I know everything, and I am gonna use my all the knowledge that I've accumulated through all these years. Because some of the questions that I actually attempted in May were my PU knowledge, ma'am. Like especially that human genome project.
Right.
Like I knew only one thing last time, ki next generation sequencing is a very recent advancement. And how can it be there in 1990s and all that? So that thing I knew, and that is how I attempted. The other things were like I didn't know, like I had forgotten.
Another
So
thing is common sense is not so common in the exam. All the students try to think of all big diagnoses, but somewhere if you apply, there are some set of questions where examiner is asking you very common, basic knowledge kind of things, which you need to which you can apply only if you go with a calm mind. If you go with a mind full of backlogs, thinking what all did you leave, and if you're only too caught up in that zone, then you'll never be able to put out the best that you have. I think that's very, that's a big golden advice that Dr. Akhil has given to us. And one more question with the students have is going forward, like considering INI versus NEET, should the strategy change? See, personally, I feel most of the exams are becoming very similar nowadays. Even INI is not the level that was once upon a time, and NEET is also coming up. So, I mean, the level of both is somewhere becoming almost at par. But is there something which should be specially done for NEET which the students have not probably for INI-CET?
Ma'am, actually, like NEET, though they are transiting to more clinically oriented questions, like there are certain things that they are still asking is the single liners, ma'am. Single best response is something that they repeatedly ask. And like people should understand that you need not know all 200 questions in the exam, ma'am. The competition is not with 200 questions. I really believe that the competition is between 180 to 190 questions. Like if you can get those things right, and like if you can play around with that, that is how you are gonna get the rank. So so what people should do is, like those common things that are asked, they should not get them wrong in the exam.
Right.
That is first thing. Like if they go wrong in that, then they are already going out of the competition.
So your rank is actually dependent not on those very rare out of the box questions. Your rank is dependent on the PYQs, PYTs, the common thing which everyone is going to answer. So you can't afford to falter on those at least.
Exactly, ma'am. The same thing happened, ma'am. May they had asked too many updates in INI-CET, and then there was so much of molecular biology, etc. So I thought, okay, this might come again. So I read CMDT ka 2022, 2023 updates and all the new drugs, everything. And apparently what happened is this exam, nothing of that came, ma'am. None of that. But what happens is like, one thing is there, ma'am. We tend to predict certain things in exam. And if those things don't come in exam, we tend to, feel bad. And then we feel like we don't know anything in the exam. That thought we should never have, ma'am. Like whatever you have studied to the best of your possibilities. And whatever question comes there, you take it as fresh question and try to attempt.
So I think it's just not how you prepare. I mean, that is important, but also what your mindset and your abilities during those 3 hours of the exam, that also makes a lot of difference. With what mindset have you gone? How are you approaching every question? Whether you're caught up in the backlog of a lot of other things, whether your mind is distracted, or whether you're giving in your to every question you have to give your 100%. It is, you don't even have to think about what you did in the previous question. If you keep thinking about I didn't know the previous question, then you never get the next one also right. So the way you mold yourself in those 3 hours makes a lot of difference. One more thing, Dr. Akhil, having said that, obviously considering that you were with prep, and any or just anyone or any faculties or any family members and friends whom you wish to thank who've been a part, because I think a student is just one person preparing for the exam, but there are so many people who are behind you who actually contribute and sacrifice for whatever we achieve in life. So any one person or any set of people you wish to thank for this?
I would like to thank a few set of people, ma'am, and I'll take just a few seconds for that. Because it's not just one person who has helped me. So first off, I would like to thank PrepLadder and Unacademy team. Like they have all the teachers there, and especially you and Zainab ma'am and Apur Mehra sir and Magendran sir, FMT, and Rajesh Kaushal sir. So, and Zainab ma'am has helped me at a personal level, and she has motivated me a lot to get where I am. And my friend Fawaz, who is there in AIMS, I think he has been that constant guide to me. He used to always tell me one thing: Akhil, we don't need doctors in India to diagnose rare things. We need doctors in India to treat common things.
Common things.
So those that always I used to keep in mind when I used to read. And one more, my friend Kaushik Alvar, ma'am, we used to read together. And like the dreams that we used to have is like he used to say, I got a dream where I had tossed his deep test and I'm going in that waves and nobody is giving me magnesium sulfate. And then we used to make fun of this in the morning, and then it sort of used to happen that way. And we studied together, and he secured a rank of 173 this time. Okay. And then like we are very thick friends, and I like to thank him in that. And my family, like, who have been a constant support. I think like I can't name them because I have a huge family, and like for whatever I need, and like they believed in me that I can do whatever I am able to do. And that's it, ma'am. And Tamim sir especially, like he has changed the way I look at things in life. And of course seniors like Akanksha Nag, who have guided me through these days. And I think I'm thankful to everyone, ma'am. All my
we got a lot of people who actually bring us to the place that we actually reach in life. And it's so important to reach out to people once you gain that success, because during the preparation phase everyone reaches out to everyone, but there are very few students who reach out to their teachers and to their mentors once they've reached where they wanted to. Before we wrap up, Dr. Akhil, I know I'm asking this as a very impromptu thing, but I want to see that thing that you had written on your notice board when you got the 68,500 rank, and you wrote your aim, because I think that is what the students should see, as to how if you have something in your mind and with that zeal and grit and determination, if you plan to do something, you can achieve anything, and nothing is impossible. So I know I'm asking you just off track.
No, I'll show the entire.
I think the students would definitely want to see that. It will be a big source of inspiration.
See, ma'am, this is what I used to see. No excuses. 99% of the failures come from people who have the habit of making excuses. And I don't know if it is legible. And this is where I had written
6513, yes.
And this was my 4011. And this is where I had written Air 1. And these were the updates like the previous NEET exam. And this was last INI, and this was the recent INI. And these were all the plans, ma'am.
The 25 odd plans that you had. I mean, I think every student who's looking at this must be able to relate to it in so many ways that, we make so many new timetables and so many new plans. But like you said, that, the point is not that your plan has failed. The point is that once your plan fails, you come back with another plan which is better and you follow it. I mean, that's something, and a very good thing that Dr. Akhil also did, which I think all the others should also, is write your goal and paste it somewhere, or make it your wallpaper, or just put it up somewhere on your notice board, so that every day when you see this, this is exactly where I want to reach, and don't stop before you reach that place, like he did. And he's told us so beautifully about his journey. I think all of us have a lot of things to learn from you, Dr. Akhil.
And this was my wallpaper all this while in the phone, ma'am. It was the AIMS emblem. So maybe.
So that is what they say, right? It's not about watching all these motivational videos that's going to get there. Till the time you have that determination.
Self-motivation, ma'am. Self-motivation is what is more important.
Works the best.
Like you need to, tell yourself that, yes, you are going to win. Because, it's not like, it said, no, ma'am, if you break the egg from outside, a life goes. And if the egg breaks from inside, a life comes out. So that's how you have to take life as, ma'am. Like you need to keep motivating yourself, strive hard, strike back. And when you strike back and when you make a comeback, the people are going to celebrate. The win is not just yours, ma'am. Your college is going to celebrate. Your family is going to celebrate. Your friends are going to celebrate. And seeing that happiness in their eyes, you will feel that, sense of gratification ki I have done something in life. And till you get that feeling, you just need to keep working, ma'am. And still, like you have to have new goals and then keep going in life. And like my father is a great fan of your father, ma'am. He has watched, 83 ka World Cup. And the last thing that I want to say, like Virat Kohli always used to say, failures have got to teach a lot of things.
Right.
And success just boosts your ego. So don't just think that, like some of them think that they have a golden spoon, like everything they are successful. Maybe like you have failed so many times, you have more stories to tell everyone in this world and more stories to tell your own kids in the future. So believe in yourself and strike back, and I'm sure everyone are gonna achieve the goal that they want to, ma'am. And my best wishes to everyone, and I want to see each one watching there come here and then share their experiences in the future, and that's my biggest wish.
I think the students have got a lot of things to take home from this particular interview, both in terms of the strategy, the revision, but also in terms of the kind of attitude that one should be having, because this is definitely going to be a journey with a lot of ups and downs. It's not going to be the same day each day, so it's going to be a different day and a different set of obstructions and obstacles that you will face. But yes, like Dr. Akhil said, that with the right set of notes and a single set of notes and the right strategy and that motivation to actually crack the exam, that is what you need the most. With the correct mindset, anything is possible. So thank you so much, Dr. Akhil, for joining us and helping out your juniors. We wish you the very best, and obviously we'll be waiting to know what finally did you pick up and which was the branch that you settled for, because we feel you have much greater things awaiting you and you have many more things to achieve. This is just the beginning for you. So thank you so much for joining us for this interview. It's been a complete pleasure interacting with you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you once again.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining in, guys.